Hi, the first article we'll be discussing is the one by Salas et al., which is the Environmental and Policy Interventions to Promote Physical Activity. The article discusses 7 studies that have shown that environmental and policy interventions can and cannot promote physical activity. So the article goes through 7 objectives, which they discuss at length. Where the first one is that they discuss the ground principles for environmental and policy interventions, and that is really saying that the ecological theory is the basis for this, and that the physical environment sort of restricts, hinders, or promotes physical activity. And they went as far as saying that it could be age-related, meaning that the younger age group that gets these policy and environmental interventions have more benefits versus those that are adults or adolescents, because their physical structure is more contained, meaning that they're in the playroom, they're in their classrooms. And the second one is that they went through a model to guide us into what the best interventions are. And that's found on page 378. And they looked at the big picture, where they discussed creating policies first, getting buy-in from the stakeholders, and then trickling it down to support from the agencies so that they have capacity, resource capacity to do it. And then that's how they implemented it to schools, to clinics, with the end goal of promoting physical activity. And then the third objective was to explain how best to measure the variables. So the first one is measuring outcome variables, which are validated self-report measures. The second one is using direct observation, watching physical activity. And number 3 is using mechanical measures of physical activity, such as accelerometers or pedometers. And then they've also mentioned that it would be good to measure process outcomes, making sure the intended intervention is being carried out. And then the second article that I have found is almost similar to this article, but it's sort of, it is a program that uses a mixture of environmental and policy interventions. And this article is by, Silva Sanigorski et al., and it's on reducing obesity in preschool children. So this study was done in Australia. It had an N of 12,000 students, and it was done from the years 0 to 5 years old in kindergartens and preschools. So what's good about this article is that they started out first in the community-based setting. They checked the resource capacity. They got buy-in from the Kindergarten Association, from the Dental Association, from their Department of Health Services, from the local agencies and the local state agencies. And so they all collaborated, made a plan, made an implementation for physical activity programs to be built into all the kindergarten schools and all the preschool classes. It's very interesting because they had 7 objectives, and the top 3 is to increase physical activity, to improve their diet, and to reduce watching TV and playing outdoors. So on the second page of the article, on page 833 of the article, you will see here every single thing that they did. So imagine a band of ants, or an army of ants, spreading in all directions, because this is exactly what they did. They sent emails, they sent phone calls, they trained the local dentists, they trained the local teachers, they trained everybody to make sure everyone is on the same page. And they found out that doing it this way was more effective than not doing it. So the other good thing about this study too was it was a quasi-experiment, and they did a double crossover. So they had a comparison group which just did their routine, and they found out that the kids in the intervention group who had exercises every day, playtime every day, had choices of what to eat, were reminded by email, fax, and phone calls with the dentist and their teachers that they were 3 to 5 times more, 3 to 5 times less, they gained less weight compared to the people in the control group. So it's really an interesting study because this article is the application of the Salas article. So I hope you enjoyed reading, and I hope that you learned something from it. Thank you for everything you share in class, and I look forward to helping facilitate the reading for this week.